just like you were talking with the animals shaking it off. I watch dogs do that too. Birds do it. And that's something that really, I started practicing through Kundalini Yoga. We would shake. We would just be like, we would shake it off, shake it all off. And it just felt so good to do that. And me having a dance background and being very structured and, technical, to come into a place where it's like, doesn't matter what you look like, doesn't matter how silly, just go for it, just get crazy, just shake it off. And I feel like those two things put together really supported me in being able to have a healthy, happy life in the entertainment industry where it can be so crushingly stressful.
I love all of that so much, and I relate to it so much as well. Like, I also have a dance background. I also have a moment in my recovery journey where I remember being in like a recovery group, and I can't remember anymore what the thought was, but I remember a nurse who was part of that group saying, you don't have to believe your thoughts. And it was like a revelation to me. I was much younger, and that was a really pivotal moment, because my thoughts were tormenting me and like torturing me. And to be like, I don't have to believe that just because I'm hearing it or I'm thinking it doesn't mean it's true. Huge. I mean, so that's huge. Like blows open the doors, right? Yeah. And then also with Kundalini, being able to go in an environment where you can scream, you can laugh, you can express yourself however you need. And, like you were talking about earlier, in adulthood, we have like these social confines to how we're supposed to behave. And so to be able to get outside the rigidity of that and to allow yourself to express and move is just so powerful. And I'm curious to hear, your thoughts on this experience. I have found that the less rigid I've become, the more healed and recovered, and the more like I'm not holding so much rigidity and tension in my body, the more adaptable I am, the more I can cope with what's happening in my life. And I know you were speaking about being a dancer and having kind of that same relationship with being composed and keeping it together. So I'd just be curious to hear you kind of speak on that.
Yeah, well, what's so interesting about dance is often when you're brought up with the structure, it is such a great foundation to have. But then where the real beauty, freedom, and creativity comes is when you can let go of that. It's like you have this foundation. You know all the moves, you can turn, you know how to put your body, but then it's just like the release of being free, where there's no rules.
Yeah.
But you can apply what you know, but you can just be free with it.
That makes me think of learn the rules first and then know when and how to break them.
Exactly. Yeah, I love that. That's a good one.
So I'm curious about kind of this somatic connection, talking further. Do you incorporate that into coaching, and sort of what mission do you serve in your coaching practice, and how do you help people, and does movement and kind of this somatic healing element play into it?
100%, yes. What I love about what I do now with my holistic coaching is that it is holistic. We look at everything. And I feel so grateful that I have cultivated many crafts over the decades that I've been studying and doing this, where I can use dance movement, Kundalini, because much of Kundalini Yoga is like aerobic movement, repetitive based expression where you can really get the energy moving. And this is what I tell people. Kundalini Yoga is like, if you have a block, it will like move the energy to like bust through the block. And it's not always comfortable.
No.
I will say I cried every class in the first 2 years. And people get a little scared when I say that, but let me tell you, it was so cathartic for me. I had a lot, we do a lot of holding our hands up over our head, right? So I would hold my arms up over my head, like 30 seconds in, it would be so painful.
Yeah.
And I had a lot of anger, frustration in my shoulders and upper back. And, or it would just be at the end with we sing the Long Time Sun. We sing a beautiful song at the end, and I just I didn't cry, and then I'd be like, ugh. But it's really beautiful because you can see the progress. Because then, I mean, like, I could probably hold my hands over my head for an hour. It would not be easy, but it would not be that painful, like crying, and maybe it would be at some point, but it's, you see the progress, you know, it's like, it's really powerful.
Well, it is, and I love how then for me, I would take that experience and go into other aspects of my life, and like you were talking about kind of with that voice, and oh, where else is this voice working on me and telling me things that aren't true?
Yeah.
You know, I could go into an experience that felt painful and uncomfortable, but because I had practiced in Kundalini, sitting with and tolerating the distress of having my arms up, I don't like this, I don't want to keep doing this, but I did it. And then I go into another area of my life and it's uncomfortable. I don't want to do this. I don't want this confrontation. I don't want this conflict. I don't want this whatever. But I'm going to, you know, sit with it and be with it versus run or hide or self-sabotage or get destructive or whatever it is. So again, with like that building capacity.
Yes.
And I think about that with the body as well, right? Like this ability to hold energy and like you said, to be a channel. And I feel like I've built my capacity and to channel like more intensity, right? To handle more, to hold more. And I'm curious to hear your thoughts on the nervous system and sort of building that capacity, that resilience. And do you see that translate to certain results, like in your client's life, in your own life, when people are able to build that muscle?
Yeah, definitely. Especially when I bring in meditation also into. So you have the high of the movement and the shaking and letting it out, and then you have that stillness, right? So it's the balance, it's the yin and the yang. It's exactly what it is. We need both, the inhale, the exhale. And so when you go into the meditative space and you can really take that nervous system back down, then be able to regulate between the two, it's hugely healing. It's powerfully healing. And being able to see that within my clients, and even doing it through hypnosis. So we can do meditation, but then doing it in hypnosis goes a layer deeper, right? So we're deeper, and now we're working with the subconscious, and we can support that transformation there and really use the nervous system there in the calm state. And sometimes there are releases there as well, but always able to bring them back to that calm place.
That makes me think of like homeostasis, and like you're talking about with the yin and the yang and the balance. It's like you can't go all the time with no sleep. You can't sleep all the time. You'll become stagnant, right? You either like burn yourself out. You've got to have that balance of the energy. And sometimes people talk about drawing the bow back, right? Like the meditation and the hypnosis, that can be the drawing back, and then it gives you that velocity to move forward when you are in active mode. All right, well, we're coming to the end of our time, so I would like to hear...
I just want to say one more thing about that. When you were talking about drawing the bow back, and it's kind of like this time in the womb, right? It's like, this is like, and then that, it's gonna come out and be in the world, and it's gonna be a completely different situation of that momentum.
That's so true.
The calm before the storm, right? So I think it happens, and especially as women too, cycling like that with the moon, knowing that your energy is not always going to be the same. You know, men actually cycle every day, women cycle every 28 days or 27 days, or whatever your cycle is. So also knowing that as a person supports you in knowing that some days you are going to be more tired than others, and that's actually okay.
Yeah, that's such a great point. And I definitely notice that. I have days where I'll get 100 things done and days where it's just like, I'm not really good for much today, right? And then it all ends up working out as long as you kind of trust your own flow and your own process. So we're coming to the end of our time, and I want to just ask kind of what you're currently working on, what you're currently inspired about, and then also if people want to connect with you, how they can find you.
Okay, great. Yeah, so I am really inspired everything health and wellness. And right now with my holistic coaching, I have a beautiful, luxurious offering called Holistic Attunements, and it's really using all of the modalities that I have brought to my life and crafted over the years and bringing them to an in-person experience, because I feel like the pandemic really, we got separated, and Zoom was great and it's awesome, and however, really being in person with people, like this is so fun. So being in an in-person private experience and really supporting a person on their intention and a transformational journey. So that I'm really excited about.
I love that. You made me think of too how like touch and moves energy, right? Like it's one thing to talk, it's one thing to be on a screen with someone, but to be able to be physically present with someone, like the energy of my body impacts yours and vice versa, and how powerful and healing that even can be.
Yeah, like we're sharing each other's auras right now. Yeah. They're like mixing it up and having their own dancing in the kitchen, dancing in the living room.
That's right.
Yeah.
And continue though.
Yeah,
so interjection.
And then everything health and wellness. There's two other projects that I'm working with right now. One is it's starting out with a molecular hydrogen. It's called Lumivitae, and the guy who is behind the whole thing is a genius, Nuno Nina. There's going to be a lot of surprises coming down the line, so that's something that I'm really excited about. I'm all about the holistic, natural health and wellness as much as possible. And then the other one actually is called NABA. It's the natural art of being alive. And much of what we've talked about here today is in alignment with what we're creating there. It's an online platform where you can take courses, whether it's health, wellness, mental health, leadership, relationships. And then you also have this online community where you can connect with the course creators. There's no like velvet rope. Like everybody is on the level playing field, and you can connect and
love that.
Yeah, make those connections. And then there's also the aspect of nutraceuticals to support the body. So we're partnered with Quicksilver Scientific. We're actually partnered with a lot of cool stuff. So those are the things that I'm really excited about, and
I love all that. You're doing so many interesting things.
I know, guys. And stirring all the pots.
Where can people find you?
You can find me probably most easily on Instagram at SuzE Q Rocks, SuzE Rocks, and then holisticattunements.com. is another great place to find me, and you can find the other two projects that I'm working on also at that website as well. So.
I love it.
Thank you.
Well, SuzE Q does indeed rock. We are so grateful to have had you here on the show with us. Thank you guys for being present with us. We hope you got so much value out of this interview. Please like and subscribe, buy us a coffee, check out the description below, and we will see you next time here on Dancing in the Kitchen.
Bye.
Bye.
Yeah.